with your products, let's talk about the line Herbalix. What type of products are? I understand there's the armpit, there's other ones that you use, but can you go through that so people establish, all right, what is there available for me?
Yeah, the first one is the healing salts with the shungite for the bottom of the feet, and its ability to attract heavy metals, to absorb it, and there's a normal vasodilation with a stronger salt, and reestablishing the foot pattern, the sweat pattern. Then I go to what we call, and I use cosmetic names, so and the word cleansing to avoid a drug claim. I use what we call belly fat freedom as a product that goes along the skin, because the salts in the skin are they're salts in the skin that just sit there. And I should mention this. I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. There's this doctor who studied skin, and he said there's a storage of sodium within the skin, and that they believe it was used by the ancestors, that when they lacked sodium, that it would borrow from within the skin to keep the sodium potassium pumps working. Well, now we have too much sodium in our diet, and it's creating this expansion of sodium with its skin, causing high blood pressure. So by using our products, we're able to use that sodium channel to help decrease the pressure on the lymphatics and open up the lymph nodes. So if you put our product and run it along the skin up to the knee and establish the knee and get the fluids around the knee, because if you have heavy metals around the knee, it'll start to osteoporose, it'll start eating at the bone and the nerve ending. And then they go in and you get a knee replacement. And then, then you've got scar tissue. And you're going to need to be on these products anyways, because the scar tissue actually causes a reduction in drainage to the lymphatics. So we go up there and we go up all through the lymphatic system with those two products. When we get up to above the knees, then we can cover the abdomen area and the liver, and this diffuses the aluminum salts in the liver and through the stomach walls. And so what happens is that fat has a low percentage of water. And so our skins are pretty, in the stomach, you see these protruding stomachs. When you put the belly fat freedom at nighttime, the body fluids get into the fat. And so the fat now has water, so it can now be utilized. And the same thing with the liver. The liver has its own lymphatics that reaches up to the skin. So knowing that each organ has its own lymphatics, I'm just teaching people how to follow the lymphatic trail and opening up like every area where there's a lymph node. It's like a faucet. You have to get that to open up. So once we go up, we go all the way up until we hit the brain. And so we have what I call the Sentinel breast cream, that's used in conjunction with the nighttime detox that I first developed in 2005. And the first thing I do is try to get people off their antiperspirants or crystal deodorants, because I know in years to come that that's going to back up that whole glial lymphatic system.
Right.
And you can see it on thermography. And so a lot of times when we have a breast issue, we have a thermography of the teeth to see if there is any co-infections that might be leaching into the breast. But the worst thing is that when these get the subclavian, supraclavicular area, I have people palpate right here. If that's sore, that means you're blocked in that. And that's where my product opens up that lymphatic area. Now, the difficult part is I have to ask people to take off their earrings and piercings where they're going through the detox period, because the skin is so good, the body's so good at breaking down heavy metals. That's why when we eat, everything goes into atoms. It is just, and if you are hanging on to a lot of heavy metals, you're going to be pushing the body into acidosis. And that's why people say, well, I'm very acidic. And they say, well, I'm trying to do something for my acidosis, without realizing that they're retaining heavy metals. And they get rid of heavy metals, the acidosis goes down on the oligoscan. Another nice feature on the oligoscan.
Yeah, no, it gives you that ability to track as things go along also in an almost real time way where you come in, you're able to see where are we going with this? Is this moving in the right direction? Is the tissue, is it getting out of the tissue? Are the minerals coming back up?
And I even had a hernia mesh that I only found on thermography that this person was having a problem with the hernia mesh, and I couldn't drain her on that side of the body. She was having issues. And I said, you need to go in and have that checked out because it was restricting the drainage. But so after we move up the inguinals with a product, and these are continuous, so we're continually draining the body, we get into the pelvic floor. Now, I've seen a lot of PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that women are experiencing, or they have problems with sexual intercourse because the cysts can be full of aluminum salts. And because the feet are backed up and the lymphatic system is not draining, the pelvic floor takes the hit. So prostates are another one. And nobody's looking at the drainage of the pelvic floor down to the feet as being a problem that once it starts to show up, that the thin walls of the vaginal walls are taking the hit. So you solve a lot of problems for people if they continue detox. So people ask me, when am I going to get off your products? And I said, well, when airplanes don't fly, when cars don't drive, and we don't have contamination in the food, then because metals never stop flying through the air.
Yeah.
And so from there, we go to the hip point. And when the hip point doesn't affect you anymore, then I go back around the adrenals to the base of the sacrum. And so I know I want to clear the kidney areas out and make sure they're not affected, and then go up the spine to the occipital, to the back of the head. So that is 1 7-step thing. And I only use 2 products to do that. Now, the breast, cleansing the breast and the thyroid is it's a different area because I have to use the underarm, the axilla. And so when you use a product like mine, you want to make sure that when you're using it, you palpate that there's no soreness. So, because if there is a blockage here and you try to drain this area, maybe with laser heat or ozone, it's not going to drain into the armpit because you're using antiperspirants, or you've been wearing earrings and the earrings are floating metals down and blocking these lymph nodes. And they can't take that hit with all the heavy metals. We're talking atoms, that it can only be discovered by heat signatures with thermography.